Hi, this is Simon Canish and welcome to another marvelous video. Nexus Prime was the first combiner ever to exist canonically in the Transformers universe. Originally named Nexus Maximus, unfortunately the creators overlooked an adult product going by the same name. We cannot really blame the creators for it because at least they have a good reason to avoid knowing about such a trademark. Still, Nexus Prime was an iconic member of the dynasty of Primes, or the original 13 created by Primus. He was renowned as one of the greatest combiners to ever live, and it was said in the Cybertronian legends that he had the ability to bestow his powers upon the deserving, allowing them to merge together and become a single, more powerful being. It was stated that Nexus used this ability to create the Guardians of the enigmatic rarefied energon, which he was closely associated with. Now that we've gone through a brief introduction of the character, let us not waste any more time and jump straight into the history and further story arcs. Before we go on to our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. A brief history of Nexus Prime. Nexus Prime was created in a singular entity when the 13 Primes were created for their mission to stop Unicron in his ways. Nexus originally had the duty assigned to him to be the protector and guardian of the rarefied energon spread across the multiple universes. But as a true warrior, he has indulged in other missions as well. Nexus was made up of 5 components, which were Breakaway, the left arm, Landquake, the right arm, Heatwave, the torso, Skyfall, the left leg, and Topspin, the right leg. All of these components together constitute the existence of the powerful Nexus Prime. Nexus was also the wielder of the powerful artifact known as the Star Saber. But due to its immense strength, the 13 decided that they would need to split the Star Saber in 5 and spread it across the universe. Similarly, Nexus divided into 5 components and scattered himself across the universe, much like the artifact. Following this, Nexus stayed dormant till the time came when he is beckoned for and was needed. After his eventual comeback, Nexus had not lost any sense of himself, and the warrior had risen from the ground as if he was always ready to fight for the right cause. Upon his return, he sought the Star Saber as well, and this time the sword was imbued with the power of the Matrix of Leadership as well, which made the artifact one of the most powerful relics ever. With it, Nexus was a force to be reckoned with, and he dispatched the Decepticon forces with much ease. His size, skills, and speed and battle prowess were unmatched, and the Decepticons had no answer for him. With the additional powers of the Star Saber, Nexus became nearly unkillable. It is important to note that while Nexus was divided and his components were living separate lives, the components themselves had no recollection of the past and were unaware of their actual purpose. After being scattered into different dimensions, each component developed its own identity and lived its life with no knowledge of its past. The Fun Publications comic book story arc of Nexus Prime. We first see Nexus Prime in the Fun Publications comic books, when the 13 visits an ancient existence of Earth of some universal streams. There, to conceal their identities, the 13 used their holomatter avatars. This advertently started the Greek mythos of the goddess Hera and the killing of the god Zeus, who in reality was Primus' holomatter avatar. After the betrayal of Megatronus and the further villainous development of a character, Nexus Prime decided that it would be best if the 13 would divide the Star Saber into 5 fragments and conceal those fragments in unknown but spread out locations across the universe. This decision was further backed by Alpha Trion, Vector Prime, and Solus Prime, who believed that a weapon that possessed the power to destroy entire star systems is best kept out of reach of a powerful Prime gone rogue. Agreeing on this, the 13 used the Star Saber to cut Nexus into 5 Transformers: Breakaway, Topspin, Skyfall, Landquake, and Heatwave, and all of them were also scattered across dimensions, lost to the ages, with no recollection of what had happened previously. But after a considerable passage of time, Nexus Prime's powers and skills were needed once again, and after Primus had recollected the scattered components of Nexus from across the multiverse, he had formed to perform his duties. Immediately after reforming, Nexus Prime sought the components of the Star Saber that were spread across dimensions, and used his powers to control all forms of energon and the capability to manipulate sparks in finding the scattered fragments fragments of the important relic. When the components of Nexus, barring Skyfall, were attempting to revive an assassinated Megatron, they met with Primus in the afterlife. Primus presented them with two choices, which were either spending their lives as they were, in Skyfall's case remaining dead, or becoming what they were truly meant to be. As an organized whole, the members decided that they would want to return to their original form. After hearing this, Primus declared the revival of Nexus Prime as the members started transforming into their true form. Upon his revival, Nexus Prime resuscitated Megatron, but also imbued with him some powers of the 13, making him now donning the moniker of Galvatron. Afterwards, the two would make their way out of the Decepticon stronghold and be welcomed by Omega Doom's offenses. Omega was raining down on the Cybertron's sun with a barrage of star-killing missiles, which made the two split up. Nexus Prime put Cybertron's star system's safety paramount, even when the Decepticon-aligned components of him were attempting to sway him back to the battle. Even with this attempt, Nexus was too late to save the sun from Omega's Doom advances, as the barrage of energies had started destroying the sun quickly. After numerous attempts, Nexus was finally able to save the Cybertronian sun from destruction by concentrating his powers and negating the effects of the negative energies. After saving Cybertron, Nexus switched his focus to Omega Doom and made quick work for the super weapon, also saving Galvatron in the process. Following this exchange, Nexus had further missions to complete, most importantly, end Optimus Prime's life. So accompanied by Aquarius, Nexus Prime departed from the universe and jumped from destination to destination in search of the fragments of the Star Saber. The motives of their search were unknown to Aquarius, but he complied nevertheless. As their attempts at locating the Saber were proving futile, the two eventually came across one universe's Cybertron, where they were ambushed by a bunch of lesser Decepticons who believed they had just come across some Wanderers who were easy targets. Even while not using his full powers, or even half of them, Nexus was able to deal with their assailants with relative ease. He did not do anything flashy, so he does not garner unwanted attention towards himself. As they wandered with the aim in mind, Nexus began dropping hints for Aquarius to fill him in on their mission. Finally, as their conversation concluded, Nexus saw a cargo container with the symbol of the Elite Guard on it. This allowed the ancient Nexus Prime to unlock a certain memory from his past existence, providing him with a trail to follow to their next destination. Soon, Aquarius opened another portal to yet another location. After a bunch of undocumented adventures, the two would finally end up on Axiom Nexus, and Aquarius would collect a fragment of the Star Saber from a courier. Much to their surprise, Aquarius found himself in the Cybertron of his own timeline, which confused him initially, but eventually it was clear to him that Nexus Prime orchestrated this to retrieve the origin matrix from Ultra Mammoth, which was the fifth and ultimate piece of the Star Saber. While awaiting Nexus Prime's return, Ultra Mammoth engaged his negative counterpart, Ultra Magnus, while he was using the Terminus blade on Earth. Nexus Prime's components arrived in time to merge the origin matrix with the other fragments to rebuild the Star Saber. This came after the origin matrix had inadvertently supercharged the Terminus blade. Magnus, the malicious Autobot, had his arm cut by Primer's mighty sword, and Nexus Prime exiled the absurd Autobot to a dimension that suited his nature fairly well. Nexus Prime then set out to repair any harm Magnus's abusive usage of the Star Saber and Terminus blade had caused to the universe. In multi-dimensional space, the revelation hit Nexus Prime that he is powerless when it comes to undoing the damage that had already been caused through these super powerful artifacts. Nexus realized that the damage that the Terminus blade has caused is irreversible and that there was only one other option. Understanding the consequences his further planned actions will bear, Nexus Prime combined the powers of the Star Saber and the Terminus blade together. By doing so, he was able to strengthen the existing walls in between the dimensions so he could prevent any further damage or decay of the universe's very existence. He paid extra attention to and supported dying worlds that had not yet fallen to the wrath of Ultra Magnus, in the hopes that they would still be able to endure their survival. The fluidity of multiversal singularities, however, was unable to be supported by the thickened dimensional walls during this phase. As opposed to being 13 singularities, Nexus Prime and the other 13 felt like they were splitting apart and becoming separate entities in each world that they appeared in. Nexus Prime's story arc in the aligned continuity. During the Covenant of Primus timeline, Nexus Prime was known as the Wizard of Forms. He represented everything that was related to combining, mutability, and changing of forms. As the original and strongest combiner to exist, he possessed the ability to split himself into several independent parts, or combine any other transformers into new and more potent combined forms as per his will. When he was alone, his body appeared to change positions or have many constantly shifting guises that he might adapt into. Nexus Prime was strong, prideful, and usually frantic. Even those closest to him could never anticipate what was going through his head. He was frequently shown to be humorous and occasionally even a little prankish. He fulfilled the trope of the 13's crazy experimenter who was inquisitive about the transformation of matter and the synthesis of new elements in the solar forges. Solus Prime, the maker of the 13, had strong sentiments towards Nexus as a result of their shared love of creation. Megatronus and Liege Maximo both appeared to be hostile towards Nexus as a result of his bias from Solus. In the aligned novels, we see Nexus making his presence felt after Megatronus killed Solus Prime in a fit of rage by using the Requiem blaster amidst the chaos. With Liege Maximus reprimanded for his actions and betrayal, Nexus Prime took the responsibility of maintaining the many creations of Solus Prime. These included the Chaos Edge, Star Saber, Blades of Time, Cyber Caliber, and Omni Saber. Nexus knew that all of these powerful artifacts would be devastating in the wrong hands. In trying to dispose of each artifact, Nexus imbued the powers of the Cyber Caliber inside himself before dividing into the 5 components transformers that form Nexus when combined. Each of the components now possessed a fraction of the Cyber Caliber within themselves. These components were Mainspring, Clocker, Chain Drive, Cannon Spring, and Pinion, and they were also tasked with guarding one of the Blades of Time. While the Omni Saber was already a part of Nexus before splitting, the location of the Saber Star was left unknown, but Alpha Trion believed that Nexus had bestowed the duty of protecting it to a different entity before splitting. With Nexus now divided, the powers of the Cyber Caliber could only be accessed with the reassembly of the Blades of Time, which would allow the opening of a gateway to the hollow realm of Vector Prime. Only after following this process could the Cyber Caliber be reassembled and put to use. The components of Nexus Prime then dispersed all throughout the colonies of Cybertron to maintain their guise. With the passage of time, these component bots remained ununified for so long that they'd forgotten their past existence. They had outgrown their true nature and believed their new identity to be their only form of existence. They had lost all recollection of ever being Nexus Prime or part of the 13. Everyone but Cannon Spring had also lost any recollection of their duties of guarding the Cyber Caliber and their Blades of Time. While the Cannon Spring continued following his duties, Mainspring and Clocker found themselves settled on Velocitron. Velocitron was famous for harboring speed demons, and the Denzians were all shown to be addicted to speed. This environment was rather alien for the two, as they were not crazy about speed and acted as mechanics instead of blitzing racers. Meanwhile, Pinion found himself on Junkion. He had gelled up fairly well with the Junkions, as their way of reusing materials appealed to Nexus Prime's subconscious and his preference of bringing change in the best way possible. Unlike others, Chain Drive ended up on Cybertron, where he joined the Autobot resistance against their unruly opponents, alongside Alpha Trion and Ultra Magnus. Following his ship crash in deep orbit, Cannon Spring remained dormant for more than 1,000,000 years. Nexus Prime's reunion was inevitable when Optimus Prime started following the guidance of the Matrix and traveled across the universe to various inhabited worlds. On his journey, Optimus met with all 4 active components of the complete Nexus Prime, and once the 4 were together with the fragments of the Blades of Time, the 5th member, Cannon Spring, had his spark reignited, bestowing upon him the energy to retrieve his power and join the other components to allow them into reassembling Nexus Prime, their true form once again. Upon his subsequent revival, Nexus Prime showed his allies how he could carry more weapons than an armory. He explored the powers of his Omni Saber and Chaos Edge and handed Optimus Prime the Cyber Caliber. Nexus Prime efficiently repulsed the Decepticons' advances and the Starseekers for a while on the basis of fear alone, even though he refused to end anyone's life. Nexus Prime regained his swords and bestowed upon Optimus Prime a few more words of encouragement before dividing himself once more as Megatron and Thundertron withdrew to pursue other objectives. Nexus Prime was reduced to a fresh set of 5 proto-forms before disappearing once again into deep space and Cybertronian folklore. exploring his IDW Comics continuity. In the IDW Comics continuity, Nexus Prime was the first ever recorded wielder of the ambiguous artifact called the Enigma of the Combination. The fact that the majority of people think that the Enigma part of the name refers to a riddle that must be solved in order for the combination is a testament to the fact that Nexus purposefully decided to conceal the artifact's real nature as a physical thing that one can possess to keep the powers of the artifact elusive from undeserving individuals' hands. Before the beginning of the first Cybertronian Civil War, Nexus Prime had become a much more meddlesome version of himself because of the abundance of his powers. He believed that all non-prime entities should consider their prime masters as their gods in a bizarre way and serve them. These Maximo and Megatronus arrived on Cybertron to start the Civil War with the killing of Solus Prime. With their subsequent attempt to escape while Megatronus fled from Cybertron, Nexus was able to capture Liege Maximo and then followed through with Maximo's trial and eventually exiled him aboard Vigilant. Following this, Nexus Prime matched his interests with that of Onyx Prime, in reality Shockwave, and the two became allies. Nexus Prime created the Headmasters for added ranks in their forces, but the Headmasters were soon defeated by Galvatron, who found them appalling as a concept. After Galvatron defeated the Headmasters all alone, his next target was Nexus Prime. Nexus believed that he could not be killed by a lowborn like Galvatron, but he was proved wrong in the most brutal ways possible. With Galvatron defeating Nexus and subsequently killing him, the legends that only a Prime could kill another Prime were destroyed, and the rest of the Primes fled Cybertron for safety. In the lost colonies of Cybertron, we get to know about the doings of the Titan affiliated with Nexus Prime, Divisuin. After his master's death, Divisuin survived the Civil War and went on to colonize a planet in honor of his fallen master. Later, that planet was seeded with Ore 5 by Shockwave 2. What makes Nexus Prime so powerful? One of Nexus Prime's, or more so his components, most significant powers is his ability to combine with other Transformers to form a larger, more powerful entity. This power is known as Combiner Mastery, and it allows the formation of Nexus Prime through the merger of up to 5 other Transformers simultaneously to create a superpowered being with enhanced strength, speed, and intelligence. This ability makes him a formidable opponent in battle, and he can quickly adapt to any situation and overpower his enemies. In addition to his Combiner Mastery, Nexus Prime possesses other unique abilities that make him a force to be reckoned with. For example, he has access to a vast array of weaponry, including sword, shield, and energy blasters, which he can use to devastating effect in combat. He also has the power to teleport and move through space and time, which makes him nearly impossible to catch or defeat. Perhaps one of Nexus Prime's most impressive abilities is his mastery of the Matrix of Leadership, a powerful artifact that grants him the ability to wield incredible power and influence over other Transformers. With the Matrix, Nexus Prime can alter the mindset of other Transformers, grant them new abilities, and even create wars. Nexus Prime is a highly skilled and powerful Transformer who possesses a wide range of abilities and powers that make him one of the most formidable beings in the Transformers universe, whether he is fighting alone or combining with other Transformers to form a super-powered entity. Nexus Prime is always a force to be reckoned with. Nexus is also known for his impressive feats and accomplishments throughout the storylines. Here are some of his most impressive feats. Nexus Prime is credited with being one of the original 13 Transformers, a group of powerful and ancient Transformers who played a crucial role in shaping the history of the universe. He was responsible for carrying the Enigma of Combination, a powerful artifact that allows Transformers to combine and amplify their powers. He possessed the power to merge different Transformers into a combined, more powerful form as per his will too, defending the Autobots from a massive fleet of Decepticon assailants without even breaking a sweat. Nexus Prime is so powerful that he could deal with a barrage of oncoming damage from a multitude of enemies and not even flinch. He could destroy hordes of opposition without showing them the true extent of his powers too. Manipulating time and space. Nexus Prime has the ability to manipulate time and space, allowing him to teleport himself and others across great distances, move objects through time, and even enter different dimensions. This power makes him nearly impossible to catch or defeat, as he can simply teleport away from danger whenever he chooses. Control over various artifacts such as the Matrix of Leadership, the Star Saber, the Terminus Blade, the Cyber Caliber, the Chaos Edge, the Blades of Time, and Omni Saber. With this huge arsenal of powerful weaponry at his maximum, it is seemingly impossible to take down Nexus Prime in a one-on-one fight. Overall, Nexus Prime's impressive feats demonstrate his incredible power, intelligence, and skill as a Transformer, making him one of the most revered and respected figures in the Transformer universe. Conclusion. In conclusion, Nexus Prime is a legendary Transformer who has left an indelible mark on the Transformers franchise. As one of the original 13, he played a crucial role in shaping the history of the universe, and his mastery of Combiner Mastery and the Matrix of Leadership make him one of the most powerful beings in the Transformers universe. Throughout his various story arcs, Nexus Prime has demonstrated incredible strength, intelligence, and skill, defeating enemies and accomplishing feats that few other Transformers could hope to achieve. With his impressive powers and abilities, Nexus Prime continues to be a fan-favorite character among Transformers fans, and his legacy is sure to endure for years to come. And if you liked our content, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe.